Hi BookTube, one book goblin here to do one book review, and this week I am reviewing Cruel Reality by C. Whitley. Now, this was a little bit of an unusual book for me to read, because it is a genre that I don't normally read, more or less. I mean, I suppose it's actually a little bit hard to define what genre it is, but I'll do my best. Now, what makes it unusual for me to read is that it is set in the modern human world. I typically read either fantasy or sci-fi, but I took a little foray out of that comfort zone recently to read this book, and I'm very glad I did. So what genre is it? It's a contemporary, more or less, in that it's set in the real world and could all plausibly happen. All the characters are humans. Little bit disappointing, but you know, most of the human world denies the existence of goblins. Just a fact of goblin life. So we'll gloss over that and accept it. But this book is also a thriller or mystery with dystopian elements and sort of historical warfare elements, as well as being a psychological experiment with strong community and survival elements, which all makes it sound like a rather ambitious project. But it worked. Yeah, it really worked. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about it is the not knowing. That is a big element of the book. Not knowing why. And that is a strong element both for the reader and for the characters. And sharing that with them worked really well. So let's give you a little bit of an intro to the book. Try to keep it spoiler free by limiting it to the first few chapters of events. In the first page you're introduced to Mike as he wakes up in the hold of a ship, being transported along with 299 other people to who knows where, or who knows why. All of these people, 300 people, have woken up on this ship with vague memories of being abducted. They're a collection of people from all across Britain, from different cities or different regions. They don't know each other, they have no prior connection, and they have no idea why they might have been taken. And they spend more than a week in the hold of that ship, being transported, without being given any of that information. The characters know as little as the reader. And just as I was speculating, so were they. Where are they being taken? Who has taken them? What for? What's the motivation? Why have they been targeted? There's so many unknowns. And they're a mix of people, not just geographically, but in terms of age. There are toddlers, as well as middle-aged people, with a whole swathe of people in their, 20s and 30s, or late teens. I suppose it's in that age category that our main characters exist, the sort of late teen and early 20s, but that mix of adults and children only further confuses the motivation of the people that have abducted them. In the next stage of their journey, they're once more rendered unconscious to wake up in tents in a tropical forest in one corner of a fenced-off area. Still with no explanations, simply with a short list of rules to exist by, further confused by the discovery of an arsenal of medieval weapons. Now, these people aren't soldiers. They have no combat training. They are nurses, bus drivers, people who sell mobile phones. They're trying to come up with plans to escape, but when one of their number is brutally shot dead for breaking the simplest of rules, hopes of escape fade quickly. Now, this alone was all a very interesting setup for a book. This community of people going through this fearful situation together, with no information forthcoming, was interesting enough alone. Now, it might get a little bit spoilery here, but I'll continue. The next stage of the book reveals the deeper situation. In this tropical forest enclosure, there are 2 more camps. One populated by a similar group of French people, and one populated by a group of German people, all present in the same scenario. Abducted, not knowing why, and being spoon-fed little terrifying bits of information about their predicament. And these encampments are to be their enemies in a brutal social experiment. To earn credits to eat, each camp must fight and kill members of the other camps. Yeah, you probably saw that coming from the medieval weapons. But it's structured in such a way that these groups realise that they're going to be in this situation for an extended period of time. Weeks? Months? Could it be years? So they have to build a way of life around this existence. They have to make terrifyingly difficult decisions. And those among them that accept their fate and go on to become killers do it with no sense of glory, weighted with the guilt that they are becoming murderers against their will. Throughout the book there is much of a sense of, what would I do in that situation? What would you do in that situation? Are there any right decisions? And the fact that the real enemy, the people who are doing this to these 3 groups of people, are faceless throughout most of the book. You get very little to no interaction with them. You still don't know their motivation. It really kept me reading, thoroughly enjoying it. It is a book that I find myself quite sad that no one else on BookTube seems to be talking about it. I would like to see that situation rectified. So if any of you are interested in the book, please let me know. And if you do read it, I'd love to have a conversation about it, to find out what decisions you found questionable. I read some reviews on Goodreads that draw comparisons to things like The Hunger Games, but there's so much more to this book from the community point of view. I found it a very different experience. So yeah, highly recommend this book, 5 stars, and I'd love to hear any of your thoughts about it. Bye!